Hey guys, really short update video today before our upcoming dyno tune. I've mentioned a few times that I would likely redo the water lines for our NA+ Turbo Barra conversion. This isn't a redo, but an important change. It's quick and free, but something I wish I knew when I covered it earlier in the series. Before I start, if I haven't made it clear before, I'm a huge hack, just learning as I go and showing you what I've done, including my own mistakes. In saying that, I haven't had any issues using our current setup as such, which may be helped by the slightly colder thermostat I believe this car has in it, but I'd like to keep it that way. This change was prompted by a few constructive comments and my own constant niggling doubts about pretty much everything I do, to be honest. But then it really hit home while watching a video from Finnegan's Garage one day where he discussed thermal siphoning. Don't worry, the idea is simple enough that even I understood it. That led to me taking a closer look after a short drive one day. This video you'll see is with the car off. It may be hard to see and hear, but what appeared to be happening was some boiling and bubbling coolant from the turbo returning to the overflow tank, but then some air being sucked back into the cooling system from here, and air isn't ideal in your cooling system. While I do agree that the flow of water we get from using the top port of the thermostat isn't ideal, and you'd be better tapping into the bypass hoses at the rear of the engine, I'm running out of time and using what I have already. But this idea or principle will help those tapping into any other sources for coolant as well. Importantly though, the turbo does also have oil flow while the car is running to help do most of the cooling. It seems the main function of that coolant happens once the car isn't running. Without coolant flow in a turbo designed for it, heat will soak into the center section of the turbo after shutdown and potentially damage bearings and seals and cook the oil. That's where thermal siphoning comes in. If set up right, this allows some coolant to still flow around the engine, even when the water pump isn't turning. And all of a sudden, it made sense why the factory turbo in these are clocked a little, so the oil and coolant ports aren't directly vertical and horizontal. Instead, the coolant port wants to be angled up around 20 degrees from horizontal. With this, the heated coolant in the turbo center wants to rise, which now gives flow and draws further coolant through. Unfortunately, I'd hooked the line from the overflow or header tank to the lower coolant port on the turbo, and once it had drawn the small amount of coolant in that hose, it was trying to draw more and introducing air into the cooling system, as well as then boiling the coolant. So the fix, hopefully maybe as I understand it for now at least, swap the coolant lines at the turbo. This way, the low port of the turbo is connected to the top of the thermostat, which, as long as the system has been properly bled of air, should be full of coolant at all times. It's also noted that to achieve this thermal siphoning, you'll want the line that attaches to the high side of the turbo to run continuously uphill until it rejoins the cooling system, which once switched I now have. I'm not sure on the effect of having this join into the air of the overflow tank, but I haven't observed any of the behaviors I had before, only some coolant being returned like I'd been hoping for. The real test of this is coming with the dyno tune, and someone who knows what they're doing will have their hands on the car. That'll be up next. However, I won't be posting this video you're watching now until I know this has worked well enough to survive its time on the dyno. So, if you see this, it's at least made it that far, and the video for that will be coming up soon. It's worth noting that from what I've read through this, water cooling has not been mentioned as affecting performance, at least not significantly, and it's more of a factor in extending the life of the turbo and not upsetting the rest of the cooling system. If anyone is interested in learning more from much smarter people than me, I'll post some links in the description, including an awesome article from Garrett Turbos that was the main source for the information I've used for this. Good luck to all of you out there doing your turbo conversions. I'm sorry if this idiot cost you some time changing those lines over, but we all learn as we go. Thanks to everyone watching, man. Hope to catch you all in the next one. Cheers.